Okay. Now we have the weight. Yes, this is one of the main features of this drone is that it is under 250 grams, which if you take in some drone classes, you know why, right? Anyone know why? Why that matters, the 250 grams? Yeah, registration, exactly. That's the main thing. Yeah, and then also remote ID. Assuming you are a recreational pilot, you don't need a remote ID if you're under 250 grams. Yeah, so those are the two reasons why. Well, actually, beyond that, it's just nice to have a more compact drone. But specifically, the number 250 grams is for the registration as well as the remote ID. Yeah. Okay, so max speed, altitude, looks all about right. Time is long. This is only if you have, like, okay, yeah. So normally, because I have the Mini 4 Pro, which is about the same in terms of time. You're not going to get this time unless you use the max intelligent battery, and even that they said 41, 47. Again, I'm sure B&H probably put a little bit different than you, but yeah. So this one is because of the other battery option. I don't know if they had an overall flight time. Okay, if it didn't, then that's fine. Okay, you're missing the price though. Did you that should be out there on the B&H website? Did you see it?
The brand new one or
Well, what do they put? Oh, no longer available. I see that. Yeah. All right, I get it. That's fine. I mean, oh, there is a price. Oh, it was just all the way to the side. I didn't see it like this.
That was the formatting on the Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. Fair. I don't know why that particular one is like right.
There's another one too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I will just keep a note of that. I'll look here. Okay. Let's see. Sensor. I'm just gonna look through it. It basically looks about right. Yeah. This is a side note. No, this is good. Does anyone know what all these different numbers and letters mean on the SD card?
Speed of data transfer is one of them.
Yeah. It's actually, they're all related to the speed of data transfer. It's just different ways of describing it. Unfortunately, there's not really like a standardized convention. I think the V30 is becoming the standardized convention. But let me just pull this up because I show this to my students in my photography class all the time. Like, hey, there's SD cards, and people usually buy them based off of storage, and that's all they look at. But it's like buying a computer off of storage. It doesn't mean that it's a good computer. You can get one with a terabyte storage, but then if it's a spinning disk and it has I don't know, really low resolution and everything else, it's not as useful. So you need something that's fast enough. So when you are capturing all this footage, the type of card you need, it depends on how much data you're sending or you're saving. So 4K video is going to have a lot more data than a 1080p video. So those are resolutions, by the way. If 4K is actually technically 3820, I think 3820 pixels. Here, let me look it up. Yeah, it's always approximated as 4K, but it's actually 3840 by 2160. So you see right here, this is the number of pixels. 1080p is what they're talking about right here, HD, and then we have Ultra HD. So you can see it's about 2 times. Yeah, it's about 2 times the resolution. But anyways, 4K is going to have a lot more pixels than HD. Therefore, it's going to have a lot more data. So you need to make sure you have a card that can write accordingly. Now, they have different ways to depict the speed. The more legacy way is with a circle and a number, and that would tell you all the way down here, megabits per second. So this used to be 2, 4, 6, and 10. Now we are beyond that now. So then they stopped putting it in a circle and they put it in a U. So ultra high speed is what that UHS is. And then we have 1 to depict 10 megabits per second, and then 3 to depict 30. And then now we're using V. V is video speed. So that's the new. You can see right here. So we have 6, 10, 30, 60, and 90. I've only really seen like a 60 at the most. I really haven't seen a 90. But most cards that you find right now on Amazon and so, you'll probably more than likely have a V30. And if you look at the check boxes right here, it can handle 8K, 4K, full HD. So yeah, that's fine. If you just, so luckily at this point, if you just go to Amazon and you just get like a, Amazon, it's gonna try to, all right. If you just go to Amazon and you get like an SD card, more than likely you'll be lucky. Okay, we need a micro SD card. More than likely you'll be lucky, but look, not necessarily, okay, this case is a good example. You're not lucky. You don't want to get this one. Why?
Slow.
It's slower. Okay, you see, these all depict the same thing. Look, the 10 in a circle is 10 megabytes. The 1 in the U is also 10. And then we also have the A1 if we go back here. Oh, they don't put the A here. But yeah, so you can see right here, can it handle 4K? Yeah, but that's like on the upper limit of this SD card. So, yes.
Quick question. How come the top of the line, the V90, will do 8K video but not 4K video?
It can always do lower resolution.
Okay.
It's just saying like this is what
It would be redundant.
this is what it's like primarily designed to handle.
Got it.
Yeah. So yes, of course, something like the V30, 60, and 90, they can handle the slowest speeds.
Okay.
That's fine. It's just that like it's kind of a waste to buy something that you're only going to use as maybe like a file backup type of like data log or something like that.
Especially when they're probably way more expensive.
They are more expensive, yeah. And actually, I'm kind of curious to see if we can find one. But yeah, you can see if you look up SD card, you might be tempted to be like, oh, look, yeah, I'm just going to grab this one. It's the first one I see. And if you see Amazon Basics has one too. Now, this is a little contradictory. I have no idea why they put the 10 here and then the 3030. Let's see. Okay, it seems like it should be 30. I don't know. It's a little contradictory. There's a difference too. There's read and write. The read's always going to be faster than writing. All right. I guess it's just like us as humans. Like it's faster for us to read something than it is to write something. If that helps you remember it. So this speed that you see right here, I believe it's the write speed. Corresponding. Yeah, it's the write speed right here. Write speed. Okay, so anyways, I personally, I don't know about this kind of puts me off a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. They don't have their things right. I just get the SanDisk. I don't know. That's just, they have different types. So they have Ultra, which is slower, despite it sounding kind of fast. Extreme is the faster one. You can see right here, it's the gold one versus the silver one. Okay, look at these. This one is the U1, the 10 megabits per second. This one is V30, the U3. So this will be the better card to get, just for you to do HD. And I'm not even sure if we can find a V90. I'm sure they exist. Right, there's a V90. It's a lot more expensive. It's a lot more expensive, exactly. Yeah.
What devices use those that they would be recommending?
Probably like a live stream. You're trying to record the entire live stream. I don't know, actually. 8K, yeah, that's also what this thing says right here. Yeah, 8K video. But normally, like in a lot of our devices, we have a buffer memory on your device. So if you take a photo, or you take like a bunch of photos, like a burst, okay, you usually have to wait a little bit of time before you can take your next photo. So this will be an instance where you could wait less time. Because when you take a bunch of photos, the SD card can't keep up. So some of the photos are stored in a temporary buffer, like a RAM on board, and then it's quickly offloaded as fast as it can to an SD card. So then that waiting time can be shortened if you use something like this, assuming your device can even handle it. So if we go back here, you can see the SD card will only support up to here anyways. So it may not even be realized, the advantage. But yeah, I think not that I had a need for this, but 8K would be an example where you might want to use V90. Has anyone experienced that? Like if you take a burst photo on your drone, even not a burst. You know how there's like a panoramic mode on the drone, and then after it finishes, you still have to wait a little bit, right? You can't just immediately use it. Yeah, so it's trying to write all the data to the SD card, and it doesn't want you to immediately start recording afterwards. So that's why it makes you wait. Yes.
I have an older SD card I tried to use with a little mini drone that I got a few months ago.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work. Could it be because it's not fast enough?
Probably. How old is the SD card?
It's from like my GoPro 8. So
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just kind of guessing. Like, yeah, the V30 came out like not recently, but in the last few years. So it feels like older. It's probably a V10 or like the 10.
Won't work with like.
It will. I have recorded 4K to it, but sometimes it may like stutter a bit. Yeah, but I have recorded 4K because as you can see, the U1, the 10, the 4K is technically okay, but this is also probably assuming you're using like a normal frame rate, 30 frames per second. If you do something like slow-mo or 60 frames per second, it's gonna be a lot more data, and then it may suffer. Yeah, so it's possible, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal. Yeah, you could bring your SD card in next class. We take a look at it. Yeah, see what it's like. But yeah, just when you're shopping for SD card, just make sure that you look at the difference. So here, let's just do. I'm just gonna try to do a apples to apple comparison in terms of the same brand but just different. Okay, there you go. Look at this. You see the difference is the speed. Now the price difference is very minimal here, but I don't know, like you might just look at this and be like, what's the difference? They're both 128 gigabytes. Like I guess I'll just save $2 and get this other one. But it comes down to the speed now. So they have another one, Extreme Pro. It's just slightly faster. Now they don't. This U designation isn't granular enough to give you this breakdown. But you see right here, it says up to 190 megabits per second, whereas this one says 200. So I mean, I don't see much of a difference. But if you want to pay another $2 on top, you can get the Extreme Pro. So at least with SanDisk, it goes gray, then gold, and then black in terms of tiers. So yeah, hope that's a little bit informative. That's kind of a side tangent when it comes to photography and video, in case you wonder why your videos may not write to your drone. Yeah, so check your SD card write speed. Okay. Now we're going to look at the gimbal. Okay, so these are the degrees you can tilt. The charger. We're going to get more into the batteries later on in the class, because in order for you to properly charge your batteries, you got to understand what all these numbers mean, so you can set your charger accordingly, because we don't want to fire it here, right? So yeah, so this is good. Good job. This looks good to me. So this is an example of one completed. Where did I put? Okay, this is good job here. So there you go. See, just like that. Okay, all right. Any questions on the homework? I want to pull up the Johns. I want to pull up one of your drone because I know it's different. You use yours, right?
Yeah, I use it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have the specs here if you want.
Yes. Is it online?
Yeah, they were difficult to find.
Okay.
So I have them saved here.
Can we? Can I take a? Oh, is it digital or is it physical?
Yeah, I have it saved as a file. Do you want me to send it?
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
have it as I think it's a PDF. Or
Okay.
maybe you can go into titanpro.com.
Titan Pro.
Yeah, that's what Titan.
And then what is the drone called again?
Helio AG230.
Helio AG230. Huh? Oh,
Helio,
okay.
yeah, HY.
Oh,
Thumb
spec
right
sheet.
there.
Okay.
Spec sheet. And they're gonna have Imperial, and they're gonna have, I used
Oh.
Imperial. Other
Okay.
Yep, customer.
Very
There
good.
you go.
All right. So this is a good example because DJI makes it kind of easy to find. Is the company Titan Pro or is this a reseller?
Helio's that's a
Okay, so yeah, so
actually, this website had more than.
yeah, okay. So this is a good example I want to show because DJI makes it super simple. You just go straight to the page and you can like see the specs. You can see all the promotional videos and you can buy it. But if you go to more specialized drones like this one, I mean, do you want to introduce? You know more about this drone than I do. Do you want to introduce a little bit about this drone here?
It's Helio AG230. It's used for spraying crops mostly. We have a modified one that is used for vector control or mosquito control. We have the liquid tank on it, but we swapped it out for the granular. It's just easier to clean up, less messy. That's the granular right there.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't know if I put specs for both of them, but I think I just put the granular.
Okay, so cool. It's like a payload drone.
Yeah.
So versus your traditional DJI, which is the payload is a camera, this one's actually like carrying things and dropping it off. So that's kind of cool.
55 pounds?
Oh yeah. The
How-
drone alone is 85 pounds.
So, okay.
We have a
Is
COA.
that a special
Yeah, we have
license or something?
yeah, they have the 137 supposed to be coming out, but we have the co-op. What's that stand for?
Cer-
I don't know.
cer-
Cooperation.
oh, COA, right?
Yeah.
Certificate of Authorization. Yeah, COA. Yeah.
So we're clear through that.
Cool. Yeah. So this is pretty big, I assume,
Yeah,
right?
it's 85 pounds. It's basically
How-
a truck hood. Think about the hood of a truck. Like it won't.
Oh,
even fit
okay.
on it. It won't
So you
even
need two people to lift this thing.
You can lift it by yourself, but it's very
Okay.
very awkward.
Wow. So this is.
It has a forward-facing camera that's just for I think you barely tilt it a little bit, but it's not an advanced camera like the DJI. It's
Are
not
there
the
any sensors to?
tons of sensors all over it. Yeah, there's that was actually it came broken with one of the sensors was broken, and we got it. That's part of the reason why I was particularly let's look at this class. It's actually very easy. It's just a plug, disconnect, and connect it.
Okay. So you got it.
There's forward, up, down. There's tons of sensors all over.
So you got a good deal, and then you fixed it.
We haven't fixed it yet.
Oh, I
We're
see.
gonna go through it, but yeah.
Well, do you want to bring it in? I don't know. Like.
So it's the citizens of Orange County. I would have to clear it
I see.
through work and stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
It's a very easy. It's a pretty easy.
Well,
fix.
or just I don't know. Do you have a path forward? You know what to do, or?
Oh yeah, we have. They gave us
Oh, okay.
instructions on it.
All right. Well, I mean, you're welcome to bring it in and
Maybe
work
you
on
can
it.
Come into work.
What?
Come into work on a free day.
Oh, that sounds like work to me.
No, it's different because you don't get paid.
Yeah, that's right.
He's getting paid much here.
What?
I said, do they really think you're getting paid that much?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, I might just end up going there. All right. Sorry, the class is ending early. They'll probably pay you better than here.
I can talk to the office.
No.
He's my boss. So
Okay. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's just yeah. You're welcome to use the stuff here. I mean, like yeah, in the class you can.
You have your drone day, like last year, he brought it in there and we flew it in the quad, that's okay, but
Not this one.
we close at 4:30,
Oh yeah.
we have to bring it back, it has to go in the.
Yeah.
We have a special truck. Like
Yeah,
it's-
yeah, don't worry about it.
A lot of logistics.
All right. Well.
Plus it weighs 60, 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna park it? We can drag it across the parking lot?
Yeah. Right.
Fly it across the parking lot.
Well, this is interesting to see, yeah, but sounds like we'll have to find another opportunity for that. But yeah, this drone, as you can see, I'm not familiar with this website, but poking around at it, it doesn't look like the specs are as readily available. So that's where you have to perhaps either contact the manufacturer, or thankfully there's a reseller here, Titan Pro, that you found that has more details. So now we're gonna have to look through this. They have the same information out there, but it's just probably laid out in a different format. So I'm gonna pull up. Let me pull up your spec sheet here.
That's great. You want salvage?
Okay. Sorry, I just know there's two Johns there, so I kind of just.
Help, we're sitting next to
Yeah, I just kind of know it's one of you two. So you're Savage. Wait, you're Savage, right? Okay, all right, good. All right, so we're gonna look at yours then. So we have the Helio AG230. It was released this year.
That's what it said. Yeah, I mean, I think it was.
When did you have the drone? Since last year?
We got it this.
Oh,
did we buy it? Or we got it at, yeah, we got it in January.
Oh wow. Okay.
We were supposed to get it in December, but there was a lot of.
Oh, wow. So it's very new.
We got it in December, right? We were supposed to be trained.
Dang, look at some of these specs. The size of it unfolded is 81 inches. It's basically 7 feet almost. And then it's 85 pounds without payload, right? Oh, that's crazy.
With the batteries in it.
The battery's like a car battery, right? I've seen one of these things. It's like it's heavy and huge, right? Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Okay.
I think they weigh 18 pounds each, or 9 pounds each.
Dang. All right. So, 25 miles per hour. Yeah, that's actually faster than I expect for something that size. Okay. So it's only 8 minutes.
8 minutes with a full payload. Yeah.
Wow.
You gotta remember the payload goes.
It goes. Yeah.
It goes away.
You put 65 pounds in there, and you're spraying it, it's going. So it's from the start to the finish, it could be longer than 8 minutes.
It just. It's
Okay.
60 acres an
Is-
hour,
so-
it's like 8 or a minute.
Is 8 minutes assuming you held on to that payload the entire
Yeah,
time?
that would be.
Oh,
you're
okay,
not blocking
okay.
anything.
And it says right here 20 minutes without. So if you have a payload, it's somewhere between 8 to 20 then,
Yeah.
as you're dropping it.
Right.
Okay, all right. Interesting. Wow, so you have to be like, you can't be messing around, like just hovering and checking things. Like you
No,
already
it's-
you already lost 10% of your flight there. You gotta have.
Well, our one drone, if it's 100%, our other drone, it's 100% start. As soon as it takes off, it drops down to 80%. We use 20% battery like right away, just from it going up. about
Sure.
50 feet.
That's crazy. Okay.
Does it run like a mapping program, or you
Yeah,
actually
I have it all.
manually find it?
I do manually fly it, but I map everything.
See-
Usually just if it goes around trees or obstacles, I fly it.
So in that case, do you have it land where it is when it's
I always
out?
have it return to home.
Oh, return home, but then that's also using up some battery just to come home
Yeah, but
instead
it's
of.
all calculated.
Okay, all right. I was wondering if you just land it where you are, where it is, and then you go out and you swap out the batteries. So no, okay, yeah.
Problem with that would be over water.
Yeah.
Oh, it's over water. Oh, okay.
Mosquito larvae are-
Oh,
larvae
okay,
are
okay.
what we're targeting.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Okay, yeah. So you can see like some of the differences between like a camera drone versus a payload drone. Yeah, the weight as well as the flight time. I think those are, and the size. I think those are big differences. Oh wow, the cost is also very different too. It's 31,000 and about 55 with everything you need.
That's extra batteries for all the flights we need, but we don't need to recharge until we go back.
Yeah.
Other extra stuff. But
Okay, and 31,000 is like without any attachments.
Yeah,
That's just the drone.
the controller, the one set, maybe 2 sets of batteries.
Yeah.
The chart, like the very bare minimum.
Yeah,
The
right.
problem we ran into in California is the ordinance for horsepower engines for generators.
Uh-huh.
We can't buy a big enough generator anymore to charge these batteries. So we have to buy extra batteries to make it a full day.
Sure.
Now, the guys in Texas said they'll buy it for us and then mail it to us. But in California, you're limited to the size of the horsepower generator you want to buy.
It was better just to buy the extra batteries.
I see. Okay, so how many do you really need for a full day's worth?
Probably about 12 cents.
12 sets. Oh wow, that's a lot.
That's
Okay.
extra. That would be like probably like just in case we need that.
Okay.
to happen.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, those are things that I guess a typical drone pilot doesn't have to consider. Like you don't have to bring around a generator to like charge things. You could get one of those like handheld battery banks. Not the little phone battery banks, but like yeah. No, but I have this thing too. It's like this big of a box and you can plug in
I know what you're talking
outlets. Yeah, and
The
then,
biggest problem is the each charger takes about 23 amps.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's pulling a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
We have them we have the drone room and it's like
Sure.
specialized, right?
Well, no, it's dedicated line for that.
Wow.
They kept shorting out.
Yeah. All right. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's more than just buying the drone. It's also having the support the support in place, like the transport too. You can't just, you have to have a vehicle that can also support that too. Yeah, crazy. Okay, so I'm sure the camera, I'm not surprised to see like NAs because that's not the primary purpose of this thing. So they probably just didn't list as much details about the camera. Yeah, personally, yeah, this,
They do have a,
yeah, I don't see any camera stuff in here too. Yeah, I'm not surprised because it's like,
it's not,
that's not their selling point of this camera. Of this drone. It's just they have a camera, so you know where you're going. But other than that, yeah, there's no gimbal. I don't.
it used to be a GoPro, but they put in there, but now they have an actual, it's like, obviously probably cheaper than a
Yeah,
GoPro, but
yeah.
It used to be a GoPro. Now
Yeah, and then anytime you use an external company's equipment, then there's like, you have to make sure it's compatible and like interfacing. If you integrate it inside, then it's gonna be a little more seamless experience. At least that's the idea. Okay, so yeah, your charger, I can see, yeah, it takes a lot of power. Yeah. Versus here, I think do you remember what your charger was? It was like 30 amps or 30 watts?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, it's much smaller. I mean, the drone is much smaller too, so it doesn't need as much power. Okay, let's look at this battery. So this is, wow, this is crazy. It's listed in amp hours. If you look at a typical battery for FPV and stuff,
Yeah, it says MAH, right?
yeah, they're using milliamp hours. Okay, like, something like this. It says MAH on here, milliamp hours. This is listed in amp hours. So milli means a thousandths. So this is so big that they're not just putting amp hour, but it's like double digit amp hours, 16 amp hours. So this is actually this is 1.2 or 1.8 amp hours, but it only has one cell. And I'll get into the battery stuff later. But this actually has 12 cells. That's what the 12S means in series. So it's a 14.4 volts. Oh, wow. So 18 pounds. Wow. Impressive. So even without seeing the drone, I get a sense of how big this thing is. And that's the point of the specs, right? Like, I don't know how many times I bought something and I'm like, oh, this is not the size I expected. It's like much smaller, but it's like, maybe I didn't do my due diligence. I just looked at the photos. I was like, oh, that looks nice. But if you look at the photos, you can't really tell because they're not gonna put it to size. They're just gonna like show you this is what the drone is. Like if you don't read the specs, how do you know how big the thing actually is? Yeah, exactly. That could have been like, it could have been like this big, but it's actually much bigger. So
It takes two people to calibrate it.
yeah, the talc.
It's about half an hour.
Yeah, that's it, that, I did not.
You actually have to turn it upside down and then walk around.
You have to strap the batteries in, it was very annoying.
That's crazy. How is the because I know the DJI interface is very user friendly. How is this one? No.
A lot of training. I did 2 days of training. I'm still figuring it out. I have that I might be able to bring in the ground link controller. It's basically a laptop that is inside.
Yeah.
The remote.
Yeah.
It's very heavy. You have to. I went through a lot of training.
Yeah.
Through it. It's not user friendly.
Yeah. That's typically what I hear of these like more independent drone suppliers. They use.
If I didn't have any drone training before this, this is not.
Yeah.
This is definitely an advanced. Like you should fly DJI or Bebop or just get familiar.
Yeah.
Before
So
doing
the
it.
thing about this company is there's no, it's all
It's all American parts.
American-made products
Mhm.
or
Nothing-
Austrian or
Yeah.
Australian, so we can use it technically over if we had to treat the Navy base.
I see.
We can
Okay.
use TGI products, obviously. you can-
Yeah, because DJ had a ag drone too. Is that why you got this one?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Our PV-35 drone, it runs off the Agris.
Yeah.
It runs similar. It uses a DJI remote.
Yeah.
So it's similar, and
Yeah.
I think it does have actual DJI.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, that's one of the things about DJI is that they make it easy enough that you could technically figure it out if you poke around with it a lot.
Agris, I meant Matisse.
Matrice? Oh, the
yeah,
Matrice
yeah,
drone.
yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Well, they do have the Agris, but it's like
That's their dedicated.
that's their dedicated.
This was a drone a guy bought and modified.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. Great job. Thanks for sharing. So I'll give you that. All right. Anyone have a different drone that's not DJI or something really interesting like that? No? Okay. All right. So then hopefully that exercise helped you understand more about the different features of drones and what you're looking for. So in the future, if you're ever in the market, you can be able to compare perhaps what you have right now with what the new drone is, or you can compare between the different types of drones out there on the field. All right, awesome. So let's see what else. There's another one. Oh, the other one was just a discussion board introducing yourself. So that one we don't need to go over.
The new people.
Oh yes, we do have some new people.
They're not getting out of it.
That's right. Okay. Would you care to I forgot what the prompts were last time, but would you care to introduce yourself? What your drone background is? Maybe what you hope to achieve out of this class? What you're looking to?
Right there in the discussion.
Financial statement.
Oh. Well, I figured it'll be easier if you just.
Shouldn't they
Introduce
stand in front of
yourself.
the room too?
That's right. Yeah, you guys stand and then show and tell. No, you could just introduce yourself right there.
My name's Chris Sammons. This is my third semester in the drone programs here. I did get my Part 107. I got the UAS piloting certificate thing that they have that
Mhm.
Jay has here. I'm a retired engineer from the medical device industry, and I just was looking to do something to keep myself active. I bought a DJI Air 2S
Here to us.
in 2021 when it was pretty new,
Yeah.
and just threw it around randomly. But then I saw that all these courses were here, and I just decided to start taking them. I've been enjoying it, and since then I bought a Neo,
Yep.
a DJI Neo last year.
Oh.
After we
Yeah.
did a little bit in our advanced piloting class, Jay let us fly the Vata 2
Okay.
with the FPV.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. So I got the Neo, and I actually fly it mostly with the goggles free, and I like it with the motion controller.
Okay.
And then I haven't used it yet, but like when we go out hiking places, it'll be a lot easier to just pull that out and throw it up versus, your Air 2S and unfitting everything.
Yeah.
So, as far as this class, I wouldn't mind trying to build my own little FPV drone.
Yeah.
Do we do that in this class?
We do. We actually have kits that we build, but then we disassemble at the end of the
Yeah.
semester.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will be building. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah.
What's your engineering background?
Industrial engineering,
Okay.
but I've been mostly like plastics.
Okay. So you might already have some knowledge about things I'm going to be talking about, because I'm going to be talking about some basic electricity and things like that. So, but yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you. And then.
Okay, I am a retired teacher, about 30 years, taught at every level. Started the summer of last year. So
Okay.
This is technically my third semester, but I don't know if we count summer the same. And I'm in advanced flying this semester, and my goal is just to work in the industry.
Okay. Nice. So you're retired from teaching. This is just like a new career path. Like.
Yeah, well, I took care of my mom for 20 years.
Okay.
She died last March, and so I'm suddenly freed up of all my time. So, yeah, it's something I've looked at for a long time, and I thought, you know what? And I looked at the different programs in the area, and Jay just has built an amazing program over
Yes.
here, so I'm going back to Fullerton.
Yes. Yes. I mean, this is a pioneer in not just the local region, but really like, I would say nationally. Like we're one of the, like they're doing a undergrad program. I mean, it's like it's kind of very very new in this whole area. So, welcome here. All right, so I went over this last week, but basically in this class, we're going to be learning how to build and repair drones. The repair, I'm not going to lie, is more on the small side. It's mostly building. Because when it comes to repairs, it's mostly like opening up. And we're going to do a little bit more today. In fact, I brought in another drone. This is one I'm just going to donate. It's a Mavic Pro that's already missing half the parts anyways. But we'll just learn how to like open it up and take a look. identify the components, and then what you do is you just replace the components. So that's why I want to focus more on the building, because if you know how to build, then you have the methodology on how to repair, because you understand the ins and outs. So yeah, there won't be much flying in this class. It's going to be mostly hands-on. The only flying is just to verify that your thing is working at the end. But anyways, just want to point that out there in case you had other thoughts about what we might be doing. But yeah, it is a very hands-on class, but in a lab setting. All right, so last week, here, let me pull up the PowerPoints here. Okay. I think okay. Oh, I also want to mention, last week I put up the lecture information on Canvas. Did anyone have a chance to take a look at it? All right, yeah, so this recording, like the one I'm making right now, it goes on here. And then I didn't get to this, so I'm going to go over this today. Part of the repair process is also recalibrating things. So DJI has a vision calibration software. Has anyone used it before? You know about it? Okay. Anyone else?
The Inspired 2 we bought years ago actually has a physical sheet.
Oh, the physical sheet, yeah. Yeah, they have that because it's usually it's either too awkward to move in front of a screen, or I think it's also a little bigger than a normal computer screen, right? Or is it about the same size? Okay, it's a little bigger. Okay, yeah, but yeah, they have it as a real board. You don't have to use the one here on the screen, but then you don't have to have a board. So yeah, we'll take a look at that, and then we also went over drone components. So you can see right here, drew out the different components that you might see, as well as their connections. If you have questions on that, you can always look back at the video, or you can ask me. So what we're going to go over today is we're going to go over how to do the calibration. Let's see what else we got here. We're also going to go over tools, because we started using some tools last week, but I want to more formally go over tools. And then we'll practice on the broken drone. So we still have our Phantom, and then actually like 2 Phantoms, and then we have this one. Did anyone also bring in any broken electronics? You got some broken electronics?
These are backs of some modems that are in the dumpster wherever.
All right, awesome.
We took them apart and just brought them in.
Perfect. Okay. I might save that for next week, because that's when we start doing soldering. Okay. But yes, you have. Please bring in any stuff that you have, so that we actually have stuff to work on. All right. Any questions from last week in terms of the repair, the different components of the drone, the connections, anything like that? Any questions? All right. Okay, I'm going to skip. I had these slides on the UAV conference. That was last semester. We're probably going to go again this September. I don't know if you knew about it. They have this conference in Vegas, and they had different vendors out there and demonstrations. So Fullerton College was out there representing, and I was with them too. So it was a good time. Yeah, so September. But anyways, that's what those slides were. Okay, when it comes to tools and equipment, there's different types that you're going to be using for doing building and repairing. So we have hand tools, soldering iron, which is what you see up in front of you. That's for doing all the electrical connections. Multimeter, tweezers, helping hand, soldering mat, fume extractor, and heat sink. So we have all this equipment here, either on the table or back there on the shelf. So what I want to go over, actually I'll hand this out while we're here on this topic. I want to go over first some hand tools. Alright, so I think we might have enough for everyone. Well, let me see. Oh yeah, I think we do. Okay, here, I'm going to just, can you just grab one and pass it down. Grab this over the bottom. bound to happen. Alright, here, I'll just leave both for you. Alright, everyone has one? Or is there extra in that box? Maybe I'll just give you that one. Is there extra in this box?
No.
No, okay. Just have enough. Okay, actually, I don't have one. Well, you know what? I don't need one because I'm going to just point it out here on the screen. Okay, so actually, I should have one. Let me grab one that has more missing, because that way I can tell you which
I
one.
just took the stuff out.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. So this is a like a multi-driver kit. It's from a company called iFixit. This is what I personally use for doing repairs. I really like it because it's well built, magnetic tips, which helps when you're trying to grab really tiny screws. And yeah, I don't know. I just like it. So I've been using this for all my repairs, and it's been serving me well. So let's take a look, starting with the bottom row. You're going to see what type of connection on the left bottom row. Yeah, Phillips connections. And if you look closely, I know it's kind of hard to see the engraving on the foam, but we have numbers. On the very left bottom corner, it says 000, 00, 0, 1, and 2. So they get incrementally bigger as you go up in size. So 000 is going to be good for your really, really tiny screws. And you're going to be glad that these are magnetic tips, because then it's like really hard to keep it on there. Phillips is what John just mentioned. This is what you would normally find in any basic garage. All right, even a home, you are almost guaranteed to always have a slot and a Phillips. All right, give me a sec. So slot and Phillips. So the slot, you can see that's on our third row. That's just a flathead, or that's what they also call it. They call it flathead. And then we have Phillips, which is your normal X. I don't think we have a posi drive here, so you can skip that one. The next two that we have on the bottom row on the right side is a triangle. Now, I don't see these in drones. In fact, let me just point out the ones that you're going to see the most often in drones. It's going to be the Phillips, and it's going to be the hex. Remember what we used last week? Yeah, we used a lot of hex, all right? And then occasionally you'll see Phillips. And that's generally just used for like little screws, the Phillips. Because when you get super tiny, the hex kind of becomes like a circle almost at that size. So that's why they use the Phillips. But the rest of these are used in different industries. I personally don't know where some of these are used. So if you know the square, I don't know. They have a square one right here on this row, the middle row. So you can see if you can identify the different ones. So we have triangle, and then from the bottom row, next row, we have like a triangle type of, it's not actually here. Oh, it's like this, the tri-wing. Yeah, there we go. So you can see like a triangle shape. And then we also have a pentalobe. Pentalobe, I've actually seen this used. Is this not on here? And let me go to this one. This is actually, I think this is the one from iFixit. Yeah, this is the one from iFixit, so this is a better one to look at. Right here, this is what I mean by oh good, this actually works out to the different rows you see at the bottom. Oh, no, not exactly. But pentalobe is right here. You see, it's 5. Does anyone know where that's been used? I've seen it used in one specific application. I've seen it if you ever try to open an iPhone. So on the bottom, I think I left my phone in the car. Oh, that's how long I've gone without my phone. That's crazy. All right. Okay. Well, if you look at the bottom of the phone, let me see. Pentalobe. Okay. So actually, I like replaced. I don't know how easy it is to do now, but I replaced the screen and a battery on a phone before. So the 2 screws down there actually uses a pentalobe. So the reason Apple will do this is because if they put a Phillips, it's more tempting for people to try to repair it themselves. So they put a more odd shaped screw there just to try to fool you. But little do they know, you have an iFixit kit. So you can still open it up. Yes, in fact, you can use probably the what is it, P2? That's what it says here? Yeah, the P2. That looks like the right size. Look how tiny it is. It's really hard to see, the star shape. Mm-hmm.
Top row, you have a 5, and then the second row, you have a 5 next to the oval. What's the 5?
Oh, you're talking about these ones and this one?
The top one, you have a 5, then a 5.5, and then the second row, you have a 4.5 and a 5 again.
Yeah, you're talking about these two?
Yeah, what are the, is that a size or?
Male and female, looks like.
Yes, right here. There's a male and female. If you look at your top row is the female. It's more of a socket. So if you have a nut, this is what's really being used for. It's to hold on to the little hex nut. And then this other one is an actual like a hex for the bolt.
So it's not a size or something?
No, they are both. When it comes to numbers, those are millimeters. Well, no, that doesn't look like a 5. Yeah, it is millimeters. I'm sorry, it is millimeters. So that's the width across the flats. But it's just that these are all more like male connections, and then this is the female connection, like a socket driver. So yeah, you can see on the top row, it has the socket drivers, and then the bottom one, or the one below it, is all your hex drivers for the bolts. So you see that? All right. If you have some piece that you need to adapt, because you see, look, our tool right here just uses a standard. In fact, I can find it. It's a 4 millimeter hex. The reason I can know that is because I grabbed the 4 millimeter driver right here. That's the one. There's no taper at all. So this is the 4 millimeter size. We have an adapter here that's on the top right corner that adapts from a 1/4 inch to 4 millimeters. For example, if you wanted to use like a ratchet, that's not supplied by here, but they give you the adapter. Then you can put your standard 4 millimeter shaft into this. All of these at the connection point are 4 millimeters. That's how they all fit into this thing. So that's what that one piece is. And then another useful one is the one next to it, which is a magnet. So in case there's something loose, you can just put the magnet on and you can kind of fish it out. So take a look at these. I'm gonna point out a couple more differences. If you look here, we have T 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have also TR. So you notice the difference between T and TR. Looking at your tools here. Yes, one got a hole in it, and they're generally used in, like, I've seen it on computers as well as other. They call it security Torx. So Torx is just a normal 6-sided star. You can see right here, but sometimes they put this little peg in there. That's what it would show up on the head of the bolt. They call it a security Torx, but then if you have a piece like this, you can still open it anyways. But yeah, you would need the one with the hole to open up anything like that. So let me show you. We have Torx versus security Torx. Okay, here you go. You see? That's what it looks like. Take a look next time at your bolts. Sometimes you might see that little peg in there. So you just have to have the TR driver right here. Okay.
I've got that license plate.
You seen that on the license plate?
Because the license plate kept getting stolen.
Yeah. That's like, the idea is to use a more or less common driver, like the.
So where else? What other type of license plates? Okay, I get it.
Mhm.
What else?
I've seen it on think I've seen it on certain like cabinet like screws and maybe
Use them on bicycles, expensive bicycle parts.
yeah, anything where someone could disassemble it and take it easily. But again, like you could still get something like this and open it. But most people don't have something like this. But I guess if you really wanted to, you would end up getting one of these, which you could buy on Amazon if you wanted to. But yeah, you would just have to know. Yeah, the only real foolproof I think is like you have to kind of create your own shape, and that's not even foolproof. Like someone could take a mold of it and make it, but that's a lot of work, isn't it? But yeah, I would have to think you have to do kind of like what they do on lug nuts. It's just like create an attachment that's specific to that car. I think that's one way to really make it a lot more secure. But this is already a lot more secure than just like a typical Phillips. Like if you had a license plate you need to steal, you look at the one with the Torx security bit, it's like, oh, that's a little bit more deterrent than a Phillips. There's another one I want to point out, and I have a slide. You know what? I have a slide later on that. But I'll just point out it here. Take a look right here. What do these look like? They look like Phillips. What's the point of having... Oh, someone said it, but you know it. Yes, you already know it. Okay. I have a slide on this later, but you might think, like, what is the difference? Why would you even need something like this when you have these? And if you look at the sizes, they're basically the same thing, right? Look at the 000 and the 000 with the Phillips. It's like, if you just look at the 000, you probably don't even notice any difference because it's so small. But I'll just suggest maybe look at the J1 and then the normal J on the Phillips. Take a look. Gather your observations. We'll talk about it in a bit. All right. There's a reason why we have it.
What were the J's on?
It's right here in this.
Oh, see him now.
Yeah, it's like fourth down. Okay. All right, going over the kit. Actually, this is a good time to take a look and make sure you have all these, because as much as I try to keep things last semester in order, people might put the bit in the wrong location. So let's double check right here on the bottom row. We should have our Phillips, 5 of them, from 000 to 2. Do you have that? And how do you check besides just looking at it? You pull out the actual piece and you look at the engraving in there. It's a little small, but you should see a PH with a number, right? So make sure you have those all 5. The next one next to it is the triangle. That you could probably just look at the top because it's the only one uniquely a triangle. So you should have just 2 and 3. That's just the number 2 and 3. All right, the next row up, we have our Y, which is properly called tri-point. Okay. It's going to be Y 000 to Y1. Do you see those? Do you have all those 4? All right, then we have, if you're missing any, just let me know. We can steal one from this that's already missing 10% of it. This will be the tribute. Next one we have pentalobe. So it's going to be P2, 5, and 8. Or P2, 5, and 6. Pentalobe. Then we have a SIM ejection. Now I'm on the 3rd row. We have a SIM ejection tool. So for those, the phone, right? You can go in, you can eject your phone, or you can eject your SIM card. It's literally just a round peg. Like, yeah, you probably could have used like a really tiny hex driver too. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a dull tip, so ideally use this for those applications instead of wearing out your other tiny tips. I mean, yeah, you could use your other tiny tips too, but that's what that's for. Moving on, the rest of the 3rd row is all our flatheads. There should be 6 of them. Do you see 6 of them? From 1 to 4 millimeters. Speaking of which, when we're working on these small electronic, at least they're all metric. So you can see here, the numbers we're talking about are in millimeters. So if you need a reference of what 1 millimeter is, you can look at the 1 millimeter flathead. That's a good one, just to give you an idea of how long a millimeter is. All right, fourth row, we have our TR, our Torx security. So there's a bunch of them. It actually spans into the fifth row. So you should have, okay, we have more than that in the fourth row. We also have this game bit. I guess, has anyone used the game bit? I think it's
Yeah.
used in game consoles, right?
No, cartridges, the old NES cartridges and Super
Oh.
Nintendo cartridges, you needed a security.
See, this is why we have all these bits. It's like all these like companies want to create their own design. So yeah, that's interesting. I have not used that, so thank you for sharing. That's interesting. Okay, so you have 2 game bits, and then you have Torx security from 9 to 25. And then the row above it, you continue with your Torx security TR 6, 7, and 8. And then we're on the fifth row, the 2, 6, 7, and 8. And then you also have T2, 3, 4, 5 for normal Torx. You see that? So far, everyone has it? Okay. Now we have this thing called a standoff. What does it look like? Yeah, it's like a Phillips. It's a cross, but take it out and look at it from the side profile. It's flat with a little tip, okay? This is a standoff. It's meant for, they have these, here, let me just show you. The name is Standoff Electronics because it's usually used to hold up like a little board or something like that. Yeah, you can see right here. Used to hold off a little board, and then it has a very low profile head. So that's why instead of having a deeper socket like what you might have on a typical bolt, they have a very shallow profile. So you use a standoff. This one doesn't have it as a, I'm trying to see how I can find one that actually shows it. Okay, but the idea is like, these are stacks, electronic stacks. So that's the idea, and you would use it here. But I don't see an example here. Which one, this one? No, it looks like it's a Phillips, or it looks like it's a flathead. But yeah, that would be an example of where you could use a standoff. Just because you need a low profile. Standoff bolt. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, well, not finding great examples, but okay. So that's standoff. That's its own thing. And then we have our 2 squares. Or actually, it says here we should have 3 squares, 0, 1, 2. I only see 1 and 2. It's only 1 and 2 imprinted on here. Okay. Then we have our Japanese, what's it called, industrial standard. Yeah, GIS, that's what that means. That's the one that looks like a Phillips, but we'll talk about the differences. All right, now we're on the third row from the top. Now we have our hex drivers. We have all the way from, what is it, 0.7 to 5. I mean, you have 3.5?
Yeah, on ours.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm counting from the second to top row. There's so many hex that it's 0.7 all the way to 4 to 5.
Sure.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how common hex are. They provide like that many hex. On the other hand, like a game bit, there's only 2. Yeah, you're not really using game bits in these things. We also have spanner. That's the third row. So they listed 2 here, but they listed 3, but there's actually just 2. And an oval bit. I've never seen an oval bit. I mean, I've never seen an oval like bolt. And the top one is all your sockets plus the magnet and the adapter. All right, so everyone has it.
Which one does the adapter go to?
The adapter goes to the very last one, top right corner.
No, what does it adapt to?
Oh, if you wanted to use this on a 1/4 inch, it adapts our 4-inch standard connection to a 1/4-inch size. You see this end is much thicker. Yeah, so if you're using like a ratcheting bolt, something external like this,
Outside of.
yeah, outside this
Gotcha.
outside this toolkit. Yeah. Also in this toolkit, we have this flexible connector. So if you needed to get into a awkward shape or awkward space, you can go like this, and you can still, if you hold on to this end, you can still turn it. You see like that? So this allows you to work in confined spaces like that. You don't get the same torque as you might get when you directly attach it, but at least you still can access it. So that's what this is. I rarely use it. Now, as you've seen last week, sometimes you can't reach deep enough because look, this shaft is this short, and like our Phantom has a pretty deep shaft to get the shell off. So then we have additional Allen keys in the back. Allen key, by the way, that's another, that's an Allen screw is another way to describe hex. So, but this is like an Allen key. You can see right here. It still has a hex shape, but it's a dedicated tool. So because it has a longer shaft, we needed to use that in order to open the Phantom. So if you run into situations like that, we can always grab those dedicated tools. Otherwise, this has typically, that's my only complaint about this thing. I wish they supplied something that allows us to have like a long adapter shaft so I don't have to carry an additional tool around. But unfortunately, that's the one thing lacking here. But you know, there's solutions. It's just one more thing to carry around. Mm-hmm.
The one that you're showing there on the far right, I've used plenty of Allen keys, but they've never had that end.
Oh, the ball end. The ball end is kind of like serving the purpose of this. It allows you to still, it still allows you to like unscrew at an angle. Not extreme of an angle like this, but like somewhat of an angle. Yeah, because sometimes the engineers didn't do a good job of designing it. If you ever work on like a car, and it's like, oops, I can't get into that direct into it. You have to like go at a slight angle. So yeah, that's a luxury. Like a lot of times you'll just see that. Yeah. So that's what that little ball end is for. All right. Cool. Any questions? You have all the parts? Good. All right. So, okay. This is what I want to go over. So we have these two right here. This is on A. We have the we have the Philips, and then B is the Japanese industrial standard, the JIS. Okay. Now that I've blown up the profiles, you should be able to see a little bit of the difference, right? Do you see the difference between the two? Okay, what do you see here? Yeah, there's a curvature here. Any guesses to why you might want one over the other?
More torque.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese one more torque, but then this one allows for some misalignment.
Yeah.
Going in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the main difference is right here, the little curvature versus the Japanese industrial standard. So you can see right here on our toolkit, we have J for the Japanese industrial standard and then PH for the Philips. Okay, so the torque, the Japanese industrial standard will allow you to have more torque, but it doesn't allow misalignment, and then also it purposely wouldn't allow you to torque too much. I'm sure we probably, like most people, have probably come across an instance where you stripped out a screw because you put too much torque on it, and then it starts rounding at that corner until it becomes kind of like a circle, and then you can't grab anymore. But that's actually, in some ways, by design, so you can't torque too much. So you can use, because of the design, you can use the industrial standard or the JIS bits on a Philips, right? Because if you look at it, it has a sharp interior corner. So imagine imagine this is the white piece of this is the solid, right? Like that can fit into something like if this white piece on the A is the bolt. It can fit into that, right? It doesn't mind that there's like a rounded corner, but it can't go the other way around. So I guess in a way the JAS is more flexible. I haven't really seen it used here in the drones. We're mostly using still Phillips, but I just want to point that out, and also just so you make sure you put in the right spot. Yeah, it says J0 and J1 and such on here, so you can note the difference. At this scale, it's a little harder to note the differences. You can see at the J1 and the PH1, you can see a little bit of difference, but it's still kind of hard to see at this scale. Okay, we also have wire stripper in the back. So wire stripper allows you to remove the sheathing from wire so that you can connect it to different components. All right, because normally we have sheathing around the wire just so the wires don't touch each other and short each other out. So you need to strip off the end. Besides stripping off the sheathing, the silicone sheathing, you can also use it to cut. So to cut, it depends where it is. Bless you. Depending on where it is, but right here you can see it's like the edge of a scissor. Number 3. Number 2 is where you could do the strip. So you have to find the different gauge wires. All right. Does anyone know what gauge means when it comes to wires?
Diameter.
Yeah, it's the diameters. And the bigger the number is actually the smaller the wire. So that's a little confusing. But when you have, like, for example, if you look here at the image, you have I think I made a copy of that. Okay. When you have a 12 gauge wire, look at the hole size, and then you can look at 28 down here is much smaller. Now I'm talking AWG, American Wire Gauge, so that's that. But then we also have, I think that's all that's listed on here. So okay, good, and that's what we're gonna probably see on our strippers anyways there. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. The bigger the number, the smaller the hole. Most of the times when it comes to wires that we're using here in the electronics, I'm usually seeing pretty small wires, so like somewhere between 20 to 26 AWG, like in terms of wires. So it's like this type of size you see right here, like pretty small. So sometimes I don't even use the wire stripper. I just dig my fingernail in there and I just pull it right off because the sheathing is so thin that you don't even really need to use a tool. It becomes necessary when you're dealing with much bigger wires, but a lot of times I just do that. That's just more of like a practical tip right there. Okay, other things you could do here. Let's see. We have wire cutter. We have bolt shear if you're actually cutting off a bolt. 5 is crimpers. We're not going to really do that. Loophole, okay. We're probably not going to do that. And then the handle. So really the main thing here is just to strip the wire and also cut it. That's probably the 2 features you're going to use with this tool.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Do we shear off a bolt?
We won't.
Okay.
Not in this class.
But for other reasons?
Oh, for other reasons? I don't know. You got the wrong bolt size. I'm not sure. Yeah. Even though like outside the class, I really haven't used that feature myself.
Espionage, maybe.
Yeah.
Sabotage.
And it's kind of limited in terms of size. May I suggest a hacksaw if you're going to have to cut something off, or a reciprocating saw, something like that, right?
Would they fire you without reason?
This is a slide just going over visually what I mean by the different gauge sizes. So you can see right here. To give you actual numbers, if we have an 18 all-wire gauge, we have 0.823 millimeters cube or squared. This is blown up. This is not to size, but it's going to be smaller. It's going to be a little bigger than this one, all right, than what I have up here. This is more like maybe 18 or 22. If I grab a wire stripper, I can actually find out for sure. Okay, look, here we go. This makes more sense. That's why I put this table here. Now I remember, because this doesn't go over more of the common sizes that we're going to see here. Okay, just to give you an idea again, you can look at your flathead, and you can look. Okay, here's the flathead 1. That's the 1 millimeter, just to give you an idea how wide that is. And then if we look at the flathead 1.5, that's going to be like your 22 and 24, very common wire sizes. So that's the sizes that we're going to be dealing with in the diameter between 1 to 2. All right. Now, when it comes to keeping track of things, you actually noticed last week I had these pillow organizers. This is just something that I found to work a lot better than just collecting a bunch on those red mats or on a magnetic dish, because sooner or later you're going to get mixed up like what is what, all right? So I like to put things in a medicine cabinet, and that gives you order as well as a small space, because we're dealing with really small screws. It's not like you have to have a really big cabinet. You just you can keep things in a very compact space. So I like to use pill organizers for that, and it's been serving me quite well. On top of that, I usually take photos as I'm taking things out, because otherwise you're going to forget. Even though it's in order, you're like, uh-oh, which screw did number 4 box go into? I don't remember anymore. And the screws are going to look so similar. If you don't keep track, you might put the screw in the wrong location. And this has happened to me where sometimes you put a longer screw than it should be there, and it pokes something into the back. Either it breaks a cable, like a ribbon cable, or it like engraved into your board, like a PCB board, so that's not good. So really make sure that you keep track of all your screws and know exactly where they are. And then another is, I used to work in aerospace, and another practice I would say, as much as I like to practice it, it could be a little difficult, but it's called foreign object damage, FOD, okay? So what happens is when you're working on an airplane, if you lose a screw while you're assembling something, you have to stop and you have to find that screw. Now, a lot of times they'll be just like, oh, screw it. I'm like, okay, we'll just leave one screw out or we'll grab another screw. People think that's a solution, but that's not the point. The point is, like, if there's a screw missing, where did the screw go? Is it still stuck somewhere in something as critical as an engine? Now, we're not dealing with something as critical as an engine, but still, there's been instances where I lost a screw, and you know where I end up finding it, which is almost just as critical. You know where I end up finding that screw?
In your pocket.
No. But what's like something critical on a drone that you might not want to screw there? There's actually many places.
Engine with a
Where the windings are, in here, okay? Because these are also magnetic. So the screw just happened to fall in there and it just stuck in there, okay? So that's why it's very important, if you do lose something, like, you go find it and don't just be like, oh, whatever, one less screw. Because it could end up somewhere like that, and then when you try to rev it up, it starts to destroy it, okay? So that's a practice I would like to impart on everyone. When it comes to reality, though, like, sometimes it gets really, really hard to find the screw, and you spend all day looking for it, and you can't find it. So, yeah. So just keep that in mind. Stay organized, and then hopefully you won't lose as much. We do have we're gonna take a break in a bit. All right. One last point. We do have this like metallic roller thing. So if you lose something on the ground. Yeah, the carpet is really hard to see, especially you'll see later when we take apart the other drone. The screws are tiny, really, really tiny. So this thing allows you to pick up some screws, assuming they're magnetic as well, because sometimes you work with plastic little screws. Then you're kind of out of luck. But if you do notice something gone, then you can use this to try to pick it up, and hopefully you get it. All right, so we'll take a 10-minute break right now. Oh, you can come back at 3:30. Oh, that clock's not working. But 3:45. 3:45. All right. This already. Okay, so we use the pill organizers. We'll hand them out when the time comes. The one that we have actually doesn't have dates, which is too bad. But this one just has numbers, which is, I guess, is fine because it still allows us to go in a specific order. But if you get the traditional one with a date, then there's an order, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then they have a morning, noon, night, and or morning, noon, afternoon, night, something like that. So yeah. So the procedure would be something like this. You open up pill number 1, the tab, and then you're unscrewing something. But before you finish, I like to point the screw or the driver to the place, as well as have the box with the lid open. So then that tells me a lot of information. Okay, this is the screw that's going in that box. I like to do that. Take a photo. Then you can go do your next one. And then when you're ready to put into the second pill box, do the same thing. You point, have the pill box number, the lid number 2 open, take a photo. And trust me, like, I had to refer to those photos a lot more than you think. Yeah. So later, you go back. It also comes down to grouping. So if you recall from the Phantom, there's the screws that are underneath the motors, and they're all the same. So in this case, we actually still split them up 1 through 4. But you could, if they're all the same screw, you could put them all into one box. And then the next screw, even though there are different locations, but they're all like the same location on each arm, you put in number 2, 3. So that's kind of, whatever works, right? Everyone might take it apart differently. But if your photos show your procedure, it doesn't really matter. And just follow consistently throughout. So that's the procedure for using the medicine cabinet. Okay, multimeter. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, let me go over the multimeter. Okay. We're not. No, you know what? We'll use it a little bit, but we'll touch upon that a lot more later on. All right. Multimeter, as the name implies, does multiple metering. So we have. These are brand new. We didn't actually really use them last semester, as you can tell. So you can do different types of readings. We have voltage. Who knows what voltage is? I know you know. Anyone else know what voltage is? When it comes to electricity, you can think of like, I like to use a water analogy. It's like a waterfall. Okay, there's potential energy with voltage. So you probably heard of high voltage electricity. Okay, so just high potential. And it's going to be displayed as volts. So if you look at a battery, for example, this battery, does anyone know what a typical AA, AAA battery voltage is? 1.5 volts, okay? There's other voltages. So when you talk about a drum battery right here, it depends. You have to look at how many cells are in here. So these batteries are actually made up not of AA batteries, but rather what we call like lithium-ion cells, okay? But it's basically the same concept. Do you know what happens when you put 2 of these together, like end to end? The voltage, what happens to the voltage? It doubles, okay? So the same thing happens here. You have multiple cells in here. So this one in particular has 11.4 volts. So this has a higher potential than this one, okay? So that's voltage. So on this meter right here, you can measure the voltage of such device. Let me get my iPad set up to show you what I mean by that. In the meantime, I need to get some batteries to measure voltage. So, actually, I'm just going to show you how to set this up. Why don't we grab some multimeters? We'll just all set up, because they're probably all new. Now, I don't think there's enough of these, so you might have to share. Okay, so share with So it's gonna be 2 people per kit. So right now we have to also 2 people per multimeter.
Build the battery pack.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back in the beginning of the e-bike days, build a battery pack up.
Put the batteries in?
Yes, let me go over that right now. So just hang on just a sec. We'll just make sure everyone got a kit if you're in groups of 2. All right. Okay. In your kit, this is what you should see. We have the multimeter itself. We have 2 types of. Sorry. Let me go like this. Okay, we have the multimeter itself. We have a set of wires like this that has alligator clips. And then we have probes. So another set of wires that have probes. Okay. Let's just open the probe one. I think I use that one a lot more frequently. Okay, what you could do is you plug the black end into COM. You see that? COM. So take off the cover so that you can expose the banana plug on the inside. We're going to put into COM. And then the other end, which is red, or the other wire, which is red, we're going to put into this one. You see it has different symbols. But one of them that we care about is called voltage, V. So we're going to put into here. The right side. You're going to ignore the left side, okay? The left side, this is only for current. This has a different way to measure. You have to measure in line instead of parallel. I'll go over what that means, parallel versus series. But yeah, we're just going to ignore that for now. We're just going to set it up like this. So again, black probe on the center COM, and then the red probe on the right hole, okay? Now with our battery, you should have a set of AAA batteries. Go ahead and open that up. Okay, let's see if we can access it, or do we need to actually use our iFixit kit? I think we might have to use our iFixit kit. All right, you have to open it up. So to do that, I think we need to grab this Phillips screw, and we have to open that up. Don't lose the screw. What you could do is, if you have the red mat, you could put it on there. All right. See? I released it. Just one screw. All right, just put the battery in this specific orientation. So positive on the left side is going to be facing down. Positive on the right side is going to be facing up. You can verify before you put the cover back on, it turns on by just turning it to anything but off. It should show up with something on the screen. Okay? All right, if that's on, then you can put the cover back on.
We didn't take battery 101.
Yeah. There you go. We're taking battery 001 class.
No wonder. College credit.
I know, it's 001 because it's like below entry level. It's if you were deprived of any battery accessories up to this point in life, I'm more curious about how you got through. Yeah. Okay, if you look here at the back, we have a little feet stand if you want to prop it up for some reason. All right, that's what that's for. Okay, right here, you see we have a dial with a bunch of different things on it. We're going to talk about voltage first. Voltage is going to tell you the potential difference. What that means in terms of actual application is there electricity running through, or at least is electricity is it present in a certain area, okay? Because if you don't, it's going to be 0. Let me, has anyone not put their cover back on the multimeter? Everyone put it on? Oh, you're all too fast. Okay, I'm gonna have to measure something else. Oh, right here. I'm gonna measure this thing. Now, can anyone tell me by looking at this how much voltage is on it? You possess a special skill. Maybe you can tell me. I can't tell. That's why we need this meter. Unless you have something built in like these things, they have a built-in meter. I can't tell on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just measure. That's why we use the probe. I'm going to put this to the V. Now there's 2 types of V's. You see the one with the line and the dotted line, and then there's the one with the squiggly. Okay, we want to do the one that has the line and the double and the dashes. That means it's a DC, direct current. Okay, we also have another type of current that's called alternating current. That's actually what we use in all our plugs. That's transmission lines that you see. We don't really deal that with our small electronics here. All the small electronics we're using and batteries, they're all in DC. So I'm going to go like this. This is how I'm going to check. These barrel connectors, in case you're not aware, the outside is one connection. I forgot if it's positive or negative, but I'll find out. The inside is another connection. Here's what I mean by I'll find out. I'm going to put one of these in here. This is our ground or our negative. I'm going to put it in here. And then while I have it in there, I'm going to put it on the outside sheathing. Let me hold it steady. Okay, we saw bigger voltage jump up, but this probe is barely enough to fit in there. So it was like a bigger voltage. Did anyone see it? It was like 3 volts. I need like a, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab the SIM eject pin. I'm going to put it in here. This probably isn't the safest thing. But just so I can extend the inside because I can't seem to reach it. All right. Okay, there we go. It's basically, what do you read? Negative 3.998 volts. So like about negative 4 volts. It says negative because that means that the polarity that I placed it on is opposite of what it reads, okay? So if I put this black one on the barrel, and then I put this, it's the same number, but now it's positive. So that means that the barrel connector on the outside is a negative connector, and then the inside is a positive. So now I know, okay? So this is supposed to be nominal 3.7. It's 4, which is actually fine, because when you charge it up, it usually goes to 4.2. So this is actually a fairly full battery. So that's good. That's how we know. A little bit more annoying than having a built-in thing, right? But at least that's how you can tell. We could do the same thing on AC, just to show you. We're not really going to do AC, but just to show you the difference. I'm going to place this. You know, as a kid, you're not supposed to put things into a socket, right? But this is how I'm going to measure something. I'm going to measure something by putting this straight into the socket. You see?
Should this go on YouTube?
Mm-hmm, it should. All right, I'm going to go right in there. All right, does anyone know what the voltage is? Anyone work with household electricity?
170 US.
Yeah, 120. 120, okay? Okay, look. We got 117. A little under, but still, it's still within acceptable range. This is AC, alternating current, okay? You're really only going to see these at the plugs and anything above, meaning like transmission lines. But we're not going to really see it anytime you're working with electronics. That's what these things do. These things take AC, converts it to DC, it steps it down too. So anytime you plug something into here, it's all AC, but then what we're dealing with is DC. I just want to point out what that squiggly line is versus the straight. Why we don't is kind of like beyond the scope of this class, but yeah, we use DC and all that stuff. Okay. We also have something called resistance. Resistance is just measuring, as the name implies, it's resisting electricity. So if you have something like a stream, and then you kind of put like a dam in the way, and you restrict how much water can flow downstream, that's like a resistor. Okay, so I actually happen to have a pack of resistors here. I don't know if you ever looked inside. Look inside that PCB board. Do you see anything that looks like this? These are resistors.
The camera's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are resistors right here. Okay. These resist electricity.
So there's like little babies.
Yeah. Well, this basically allows you to step down from a higher voltage to a lower voltage. So, like, not exactly analogous because this is also AC to DC, but this is like 120 AC volts. And then what we use as USB is 5 volts. Do you guys know that 5 volts is what you use for USB? So it has to step down. So there's inductors in there, and then there's also like resistors and such to step it down. But there's different types of resistance. We're not going to really be building things from scratch, so you don't need to know the color code. But if you look here, you see there's brown, gray, brown, gold. All right, there's a whole sequence to reading this. Calculator. So if you look here, all right, what do we got? We have brown, silver, or gray, brown, gray, brown, gold. Let's see what that is. 180 ohms. Ohms is the unit of measurement. So we have V, volts, for voltage, and this is omega, or ohms, when it comes to resistance. So how this works is this, in case you're wondering. The outside left band tells you to a multiplier factor. You see right here, it's to the 10. And then the second band, the second band is 8. Oh, sorry, that's silver, 8. So 1, 8. Oh, no, sorry. It's 1, 8. The third band is the multiplier. So brown, 1. Second number is gray, 8. And then the third number is 10, which is brown, which is 10. So 18 times 10 is 180. And then the gold at the end tells you the tolerance. Does anyone know what tolerance means? Yeah, what's the acceptable range? Like, if you tell someone, I need you to measure out 1 cup of water, is 1.01 cup of water okay? Depends on your recipe. Like, so there's a level of tolerance. So gold is saying that the tolerance that they manufacture this to, you can expect within a 5% confidence. It's going to be 180 plus or minus 5%. So what's 5% of 180? 9. So that means it could be either 171 all the way to 189. That's where you can find this thing at. Let's see if that's the case. I'm going to go here to my multimeter. I'm going to put it to, do you see the ohms sign? It's the next one. I'm going to put it to ohms. All right, now I'm going to take my 2 leads. There is no polarity when it comes to resistance. It will resist regardless what direction you're going. Okay, so I'm just going to place 1. All right, let's see what we get. It's reading. What do we see? 177.5. What's our tolerance range? The target was 180.
171 to 180.
Yeah, so this manufacturer wasn't lying. They're within their tolerance range. And actually, it's pretty close. Yeah, like it's only off by 1.5 amps, or 1.5 ohms. So this is pretty good. Sorry, 2.5 ohms, yeah. So this is pretty good. So it's actually more than 5% accuracy. It's actually, what is it? 177.5 divided by 180?
How accurate is the multimeter?
That is a good question too, actually. Yes. So, anyways, based off this, it's less than 2% in terms of the resistance. Yeah, the multimeter also has a tolerance level too, so you have to keep that in mind. But yeah, so you can tell by looking at the numbers, or you can also measure it to find out what the resistance is. So that's resistance. Okay, this one's going to be very useful when it comes to making sure you soldered something correctly, like you have an actual good joint, or you're working with the right connection. This is called continuity. Continuity is just going to run a very small current through a system, and if it measures that same thing on the other side, then it knows that you are talking the same wire. Okay? So the easiest continuity to check, we're actually on the continuity. You see that? But I'm sorry. You see it's a combination position. It has both ohms, which is resistance. It has continuity, which is a little audible signal. And then there's a thing with the triangle. That's called diode, but we're not going to deal with that here. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go to function. And you see at the top it changes. Now we have our audible signal. That's our continuity. Here goes the auto. This is diode. This is continuity. We could go here just so we force it to be on that particular mode. I don't know how well the auto works. But if I go right here, do you hear it? Okay, because this is basically saying this is part of the same connection, right? What's another example of something on the same connection? I take this. This is part of the same connection, you see? Now you can extend that knowledge to something bigger. Let's say you found one wire and then the wire enters a jumble, and then you're like, I'm not sure which of those wires is connected to that board. So then you just touch the wire on one end, and you keep going down the board until you find what makes this thing beeps. All right. So continuity is very useful for verifying that you're working on the same wire, and also you have a solid connection. Because you might have soldered something, but then it's a cold joint, it didn't properly seal. The buzzing comes on and off. That's not a good sign either. So yeah, this is continuity. What you're going to find with continuity is that sometimes you'll have multiple locations that make it buzz. What would be such a location where it makes it buzz multiple times? If I touch one wire, but then I touch multiple points on a board. I didn't really go over this yet, but just in case.
Short?
Huh?
Is that a short? Or?
Not necessarily short, yeah. But there will be a location where there'll be it's a specific type of like connection that you'll find on any electronic. That usually ground. Does anyone know ground? Okay, yeah. Ground is like it's like a baseline point. Okay, it's what most people think of when you say negative, like on these connectors. But it's like a ground point. Okay, there's usually multiple grounds on a board. So even if you touch one wire that's ground and then you touch multiple points on a board, it might buzz multiple times. And they're all connected. They truly are. So when you put things together, you can choose the nearest ground. You don't have to go to the one that you saw first. It could be the one that's closest to you. So yeah, ground will usually show up multiple times. Other connectors, not so much. Like unique signal wires is usually just going to be one. Yeah, so there shouldn't be any other noise. If there is, then that means that something got soldered wrong. All right, so that's things I want to show you. There is something also called current. I need like an open circuit for that to work though. Because current, you need to be part of the circuit. So far what I've been doing is I've been touching across something that exists. But current, you need to break open a circuit and you have to complete the circuit by being part of it. And that's where you also need to change this to over here. This is the current limit, which is 10 amps. All right, amps is a unit of current. So I don't have something to break open right now, so I won't be able to show that. But just know that when you're using the multimeter, you're usually using voltages, and you're usually using continuity. Those are the two that you're really using. I kind of show the resistor as like a as a bonus, but there's a lot of other things you can do with this, as you can see here, but we're not going to really explore those for the time being. But feel free to look it up. You can always use these. Don't worry about breaking these. They have limits and a fuse built in, so it's not going to blow up. It might, at worst case, stop working. All right. Now, what I like to do, because the rest of these kind of go into some soldering, which we really can't do until we get some more boards. So please, if you have any broken electronics, we kind of need it, just for your own sake. If we had more like broken drones, that would be great, but I'm bringing my own broken drone in because there's not enough in here. So what we can do is we can continue to take apart the drone. What I want you to do, though, is I want you to actually get experience working with the really tiny screws. I want you to see how small some of these things are and why it's so important to have a good organization system. So we do have the Phantom from last week, so one table can work on that. I have my Mavic here as well, and then what we could do is we can kind of do a halfway swap. So let's do that. Last time, mainly this table worked on the Phantom, right? Yeah, this table worked on the Phantom. We'll be able to swap either way, but would you guys like to work on the Phantom this time starting off? Take it apart. Make sure you follow the procedure I was talking about, which is take photos, and then make sure you get into the weeds where we actually talk about the little screws. All right. I have the Mavic here that we can work on. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I was going to show you how to do the calibration. That's right. Let me do that. I have a functional Mavic here that we'll use as a calibration. So, when it comes to calibration, there's a bunch of different things you could do. You might be familiar. Have you already done the calibration with the compass and IMU in your other classes? Yeah? No? Okay. Well, I can show it. It's actually pretty quick. Let me just show real quick on this. But the one that you probably haven't done is the obstacle avoidance calibration. And typically you don't need to do that, but if you're going to replace, for example, an obstacle avoidance sensor, then you need to calibrate it. So I just want to show something because that's something outside of the general procedure of just finding what's broken and replacing it, right? This is something where you need a little bit of the software to do it. Okay. So this, I haven't actually tried with the newer drones. So I don't know how that would work, but the software does list those newest drones as supported. So it should be the same. But I have here, like, this is the Mavic 1 Pro, which is still working. I still use this to this day, just at this point to teach people. It's the same drone that I brought here to repair. Okay, but this one is the first of the folding types. Yeah, you can see right here. It only has front obstacle avoidance, and it doesn't have any of those other fancy features. It has very, very basic, like active track mode, but that's about it. It's still a great drone, and quite honestly, it's amazing. It's still functional right now.
That one came out? Is that 2016? Or
This came out, yeah, I think about right, 2016. Release date. 2021? No. See, this is why you can't trust AI. This is definitely not right. I have to put 1. 2016. Yeah, 2016. Yeah, I don't like the naming that DJI has done because they call it Mavic Pro. They don't put a 1 in front of it. And then they decided, okay, Mavic 2 Pro.
Yeah.
So then this is technically just called the Mavic Pro. And it's like, okay, well. Okay, when it comes to calibration, let me just show you here really quick. Okay. You have to use a dedicated app for this. I'm sure if you have the other drones that use as an app, you're using the DJI Fly app, right? Yeah, but this is a older app, different interface, same but different. Okay. Oh, good. We actually have a compass error, and that's probably because I have too much metal here. That's a side note. Okay, you see the error went away. It's whenever you have a lot of metal, it's going to get confused. So that's the first thing if you have a compass error. Just move it away. But let's say we do want to calibrate it. You see right here, we're going to press to calibrate. And this is the same procedure if you have a new or old drone. So you're just going to rotate it horizontally like this. Okay, and then you follow the depiction. It says to show it like this, right? Yeah. And then we rotate it also in a counterclockwise fashion. Okay, that's it. All right, this is as simple. You don't need the computer to do that calibration. Compass, you just do whenever it prompts you. That's usually what I do. Or if you move somewhere significantly far, like you go to like the other side of the U.S. or the magnetic field changes a little bit. Really, you don't have to do it, but still, like I just kind of do it out of precaution. There's another thing you could do. It's called the IMU calibration. You really don't have to do it that much. And in fact, the button is not there. I forgot exactly what you want to do, where you have to go to do that. But does anyone remember from what I said last time what IMU stands for? Remember we were talking about the components on a drone? Wait, did I talk? I don't know if I said specifically IMU. Okay. Well, let me describe what an IMU does. It detects if you tilted, and it also detects how fast you're going.
Gyroscope,
Yeah, the gyroscope and accelerometer, it's kind of like a internal measurement unit. That's what IMU stands for. Okay, so if you want to calibrate it, it does take a little longer, so I'm not going to do it. But what you do is, it will tell you, tilt the drone to the side. Tilt the drone upside down, whatever. And you let it wait, because it's saying, okay, this is the drone position. Now I'm going to realign myself to what that position should be. So that's IMU. Again, do it as necessary, but you can also do it in the app. So those are things in the app. Now the things you can't do in the app is the vision sensor calibration. And that's where you have to hook it up to the computer. The cable that I need, I don't have with me because this is an older drone. It doesn't use USB-C. It uses the micro USB. Anyone have that? I don't have that with me. I only have USB-C.
There's 2 cell phones ago.
I know, yeah. So I might have to find a newer drone to do the calibration. Wait, we had the other Phantom, right? We had the other, not the really bad Phantom. Oh, you have a micro USB?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna give it to you.
Oh, okay, all right. We'll just
No,
we'll just sit here and.
It's a plug. It's not a. It's a.
Okay. Does anyone have like another DJI drone that they don't mind us calibrating their?
All right, I like you again, come here.
Let me see.
I have this, but it's.
That's it. Thank you. All right.
That's extra credit, right?
Yeah. Let's see if you can put this together. Why don't you want to come up here and calibrate it? Actually, this will be your treat. This will be
My treat?
yes.
Yay! I just get my foot.
Dang, this is a little short because you have to move this thing around a lot. Hey, I'm not complaining. I'm just
It sounds an awful lot like you're complaining.
it might be a little limiting because okay, this is what happens with a drone. You have to go like this and stuff, and I need to have a solid connection to my. Okay, here's another thing we could do. If someone can let me, oh, you know what? I'll just use my iPad, but I'll just pull up that board on a separate screen, and that way you can keep the drone really close. Because otherwise, normally you use the screen normally use the screen as the board, but this cable's a little short here, so I'm gonna have to.
He said short, not me.
All right, let me grab the. All right, this is our distance. This extends it slightly.
So help me understand, you have to plug in the drone to the computer that has the image on it?
Technically, you don't, but that does have an image built in. So that would be the more streamlined approach. But since our cable is so short right now, I'm gonna pull up the screen. I'm gonna pull up the image on a separate screen. That's why they were using the Inspire. They had a different board. It doesn't have to be the one built in, but they do provide that to you. Okay. All right. Actually, this might just be enough distance. This might be enough distance, I think. What was that? Oh. That might be enough distance for you to work with. So we might not have to do that whole iPad
You're
thingy.
the mad scientist up
All right.
there with the beeping and stuff.
Go ahead and turn that on. Do you know how to turn on DJI stuff? Yeah? It's right here, the battery, the
Oh.
power. Yeah. Double click and hold. Okay, go ahead and place it down. Okay, I'm gonna open up a program.
I just wanna see. Oh, he is gonna have it there.
They sound healthy.
Okay, so they have different types. It's called DJI Assistant. They have different types of assistants, which is really annoying. But you gotta find the one that's suitable for you. So let me look it up. DJI Assistant. Okay, we have here the Mavic 1 Pro. Oh, right here, Mavic Pro Platinum.
You still want
Oh,
me to-
it's this thing that's on. Okay. This thing makes a noise if you keep it on, so turn it off right now while you're at it.
Do you still need me up here?
Yes. Or do you want to do the calibration?
No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just
thought
going to give you
were
the
done.
opportunity. Okay, so you see here on the left side, they have a bunch of different Assistant 2s. So you got to find the one that's for you. I think most people at this point is using the consumer drone series, whereas I'm using an updates discontinued series. So if you look here, these are probably all the updated drones, the Neo, the Mini 4 Pro, Mini 3 Pro, Mavic 3 Pro. Okay, so you can go there and find yours. But I'm using the updates discontinued, wherever that is. Okay, I think I still have that here. Maybe not. Let's try the consumer. I don't think it's gonna work because that's the one that's here. I might have to download this thing. Unless someone has their new drone that they're willing to offer as tributes.
Are these basically updates?
Huh?
Are these updates?
They are not updates. They're just allows you to do calibration and firmware updates. They're, yeah, I guess in a way they allow updates, but they're not updates in themselves. They're just a program that facilitates updating. Yeah, they still have to pull the firmware file from. Where is it? I might have to download this thing from scratch. For goodness sake. DJI. What? Okay. Alright. We download it. Let me just install it. Sorry, bear with me. Oh my goodness. There's a trick to open this. I think it's open. You hold down option and oh darn it. Where the heck is it? See, I don't have it here. Yeah. Oh, there. Okay, I think I have to go to security. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Alright, where is it? Privacy? What was it again? Do you know where it is? Oh, I forgot. Oh, there it is. Open anyway. They don't make it easy for you to find that. I just happen to gone through this before. All right. Yes. Okay. Good thing is that it's a pretty quick thing to install. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's not gonna work here. Does anyone have a newer drone? Otherwise, I'll show this next week. I thought this was gonna be a more successful demonstration. What's that?
We can do the other stuff we were gonna work on.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was gonna say, I'll just do this next week. I'll just do.
I can bring you Inspire too if you want.
Oh, actually, speaking of Inspire,
I think we have one here. Yeah, is that everything? Oh, we have the other Phantom that's not excluded. Let's try that. Where did it go? Oh, this is a Mavic 2 Enterprise. Yeah. Let's try that. Completely forgot. My whole phone is stopped out here. Now this one uses USB-C, so I think we should. I could return the cable. Thank you.
yeah, I do have USB-C, so I can return the cable there. Oh, now it says it's successful. What the heck is going on? Oh my goodness. Well, okay, let's see if this. Yeah, it may not be installed properly. No, I don't think. Okay, I don't see it. All right, that's fine. Let's just let me turn this before I forget. Thank you.
Antique.
Yes, it came in handy. See, thank you. Okay. Same process, but let's find out which software this uses. Because if it used updates discontinue, then we're also out of luck. No, I think it might be the Enterprise series.
Should you put away the multimeters?
Yes, you can put them away. Yeah, put them away. Okay, this is Enterprise series. Do I have this installed? I do. Well, look at that. This might actually work out. Okay. Hello? Oh, it may not want to open. There you go, there you go. Okay. Looking promising here. It's asking for me to plug it in. Alrighty. Oh, good. All right, we can actually have a demo here. So first thing, you got to install the proper DJI Assistant. I looked on the website, found that we need the Assistant 2 Enterprise Series. Then you plug in the cable. They all should be USB-C unless you have an antique like mine. Now, if you look here on the left side, we have different options. We could do firmware update, a log export, calibration, or simulator. They have a simulator. It's terrible, but you can use it. You're better off using like one of those other like FPV simulators. It's very basic, okay? Or just fly in real life. I think you get a lot more out of it. Okay, we're gonna follow this tutorial. And what this is going to allow you to do is it's actually going to allow you to take a peek inside the cameras. Take a look down here. You see the right and the left? I'm going to put my finger over the right one. Fingers over the left one, you see? So we're actually looking through the camera. Does this surprise you that it's black and white? Huh? For contrast. Okay, this is on purpose actually. Why do you think you want black and white? Huh? No, the depth perception actually comes with having two cameras. You notice how there's two cameras here? Just like our eyes. Black and white, though, it's on purpose. It has to do with contrast. Actually, in a way, yes. But more specifically, the difference between black and white and color is the amount of data. With color, you have 3 different color channels: red, green, and blue. For the purposes of noticing edges and therefore objects, that's not necessary. You're going to get the same thing on a red channel, a green, and a blue. So when it comes to optical avoidance, they keep it simple. By having black and white, they're able to process a lot faster. Therefore, you can fly faster for the optical avoidance to still work. So how these, this goes into computer science. I took a course on this before. It's kind of interesting. If you look into how these cameras actually recognize objects, it looks at contrast. That's where it gets into contrast. You see from here to here, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little hard, but the pixel by pixel will all of a sudden go from like a low number, which is dark, to a high number up to 255. So 0 to 255 is the range that you have black to white. So when it notices all of a sudden the derivative of a change from black to white, then it sees like, okay, there's an edge here. All right. So anyways, by having black and white, it allows you to process it faster because you only have 1 channel to deal with instead of 3 color channels. If you look here, this is where your depth perception comes into place. My drone's fixed at this position, but you notice the camera is slightly different. I'm going to take a screenshot, and I'll blow up the screenshot because otherwise it's kind of, I can't zoom into this screen. It's kind of hard to see. So let me blow up the screenshot that I just took. Okay. All right, do you notice the difference between this image and that image?
Not the same.
They're not the same. Look at the gap here. Look at the gap here. So it can notice the difference when it's comparing. And it's like, okay, based off how much of a gap difference, it can calculate how far something is from you. All right. Again, beyond the scope of the class, but I like to share this stuff because like it gets into the technical part of things. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to rotate the drone like this. And then we're going to bring it in. You see? I'm going to move the drone. You see a little red box? Okay, now I'm just going to hold it here. And it's basically taking that concept I just described of noticing, hey, where are the dots relative to each other between the two? I need to move this out of the way, otherwise I might mess it up. Yeah, I don't want anything overlapping. Where the dots, the distance between the two cameras, the two images on the two cameras. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm holding position, and I'm just tilting the drone around. All right, so because this is a Mavic 2 Pro, it has multiple sensors. So now we're looking at the side sensor. You see, which sensor is this now? Oh, it's the bottom sensor. So you see, I put my finger over this one. Put my finger over this one. So now we're looking at the bottom sensor. All right, it wants me to rotate. It's the same thing. So I'm just gonna go like this. Because I'm doing the school a favor, I'm calibrating all their sensors. Oh no. I moved too much out of range. That's what it was basically complaining about. I'm supposed to just rotate it and not actually like move it laterally. So it's punishing me by having me do it again. So it asked me to do it twice, one closer and one farther. And again, it's just so it can compare the images. It's telling me to move back like a specific amount. So knowing that, it can...
Does it matter how fast you go? Does it want you to go faster? Or
it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it will... but it is kind of slow, the software. I don't know which. Oh, okay, I'm using the back right now. Yeah, I try to go faster. Let's see how fast I can go.
So I was wondering, is it better for it to learn it faster or just?
I don't think it matters because all it does is it just takes a bunch of photos. So if you're a little faster, I don't think it matters. But it's just that this software it's a little laggy. Like I want to go faster than what you see here, but I'm trying to move the drone and the little box lags behind. So that kind of limits me. Maybe they did that on purpose. Kind of limits me from going any faster. You really don't need to. It's only if you crash the drone. Let me see, which one is it? It's this sensor. Huh? Depends on you, right? Oh my gosh, this propeller's in the way. Alright. I should have probably took off the propellers. The more sensors, the more annoying, you see. The Mavic Pro is so much easier because it only has the front sensors. It doesn't use the side sensors? It should. It might use it in specific modes, but not in the general mode. I don't know why they would put it if they're not going to use it. I know when you're flying, you got to look at the little symbol on the top of the screen because that will tell you what sensors are actually activated. Sometimes it's only the front and the back. It's not always the omnidirectional. So, yeah, they have this like symbol that looks like a circle with like this and that. Yeah, sometimes it's only like the side ones, or sometimes only the top and the front. I think I've seen this only turn on, like the side ones are activated, but only in a specific mode. What? Yeah, red means that's not used. Well, I mean, I don't know where the green's probably behind the screen. But yeah. I think I've seen it used only in one mode. It might be like a specific like follow me mode or something that's going parallel or sideways. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, I don't own this drone, so I don't really have much of experience knowing what's being used. It may not have all those consumer level features either. All right.
Panorama, but it will only give you the final image. It won't give you.
Oh, they won't give you the individual. Yeah.
Which is a pain in the neck for clients.
Yeah, I figure like, I don't know. Maybe they are catering it to people that want to use it just for, I guess, a high level and not so much from an artistic standpoint. So.
They were aiming it towards police departments.
Okay, yeah. So they probably don't. They're like, this is too much data. I just want the final image. That's probably what they're thinking. Okay, while we're waiting for that, I have here the Mavic Pro that I was showing before. Okay, before we take it apart, we should do a breakdown of what's wrong with this drone. Okay, so I mean, a lot. Yeah, exactly, a lot. I was only keeping this drone as a spare parts purpose in case my other one breaks, but knock on wood, it's been a long time, so I haven't had to use it, and I'm like, at this point, I might as well buy another drone if this one breaks. So, remember what we did last week? Let's go through and take a look at that. Okay, maybe I'll just do it here, otherwise it might be a little difficult for everyone to see. So, I'm going to take a log of what's broken. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. Okay. All right. If you look here, off the bat, what do we have broken? Appears almost so. Okay, we have what's this arm? What will we categorize that as? Huh? Front left Okay, I'm just gonna run it here. Front left arm. And the arm itself is actually not broken. It's just that the axis holding it on is broken. Look at this arm itself. It's actually intact. Now what happened is I stole the axis from here. Otherwise, normally it doesn't just break like this. It's normally your arm itself that's gonna break from a crash. But I stole the axis from here, so that's why that's gone. Okay. Our cover is also, well, it's missing all the screws. I took off the screws. But let's take a look on the inside. You can see I've worked on this before, and we'll use this later for our soldering. You could tell because look, it's like not the cleanest strip. Now I didn't work on this. Like when I do it much cleaner, but like I use this as examples as well. So yeah, none of these are the original solder joints. You can see like these are what original solder joints should look like, much cleaner. Like this is the original solder joint right here. That's a much cleaner joint. But yeah, so those are observations I would write in there too. I'm like, okay. Ooh, look at here. Our front optical avoidance. There's the ribbon going to this camera, but this one's gone. In fact, the entire camera's gone. This one's still here, but this one's gone. So which one is this? This is our front. Yeah, I guess they're both front. I'll just say right vision sensor. All right. Is this thing still calculating? It's still calculating. I have a feeling it's getting stuck. All right, but anyways, we'll let it go. If it does get stuck, the message is successful, reboot. That's all it says. All right, if it is successful. Okay, so the right, I guess we only have a front, but we'll be specific. Vision, sensor, gone. Camera, gone, okay? We also have, well, it's more of an observation, but like motor wires have been soldered, like, or like not original, right? It's not original joints anymore. What else do we have that is up with this drone? Let's take a look at the bottom. Oh yes, definitely missing something here. This is actually the vision board. I also took that out. Yeah, so we call this the, I don't know what this exact name is, but that's a good practice. I know it has the vision sensor for landing. What would it be called? What would we look up on Google if you were to give it a specific name? Okay, Mavic 1 Pro proximity sensor, is that what we want to call it? Okay, let's take a look if we can find it on images. Okay, here it is. Vision sensor. Here, I'm going to go to shopping. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, that seems to be talking about the front. Okay, so we know this is called the front sensor. That seems to be the front vision sensor. That's what they call it. I don't think proximity board may be the right term. Ooh, no, that's the Mavic 2 Pro. Let's take a look here. Let's try a different term. What's a different term we might be able to use? Huh? Downward what? Landing sensor. So this is where you just kind of have to try it. Let me see if I just see it. Maybe not under shopping, but under images. Downward. Still not really finding it. I see this thing, but let's. I'm just gonna. Any other thing? Let's see if we can find it. Landing sensor, maybe. Landing sensor board. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay, I found it. I guess they call it a main core board and downward vision sensors. Let me now look up that term and see if I can find more of an official supplier selling it. But that's the Mavic 2 Pro. We don't want that. Okay. This seems to be someone actually officially selling it. It's in Spanish. So probably in Mexico or something like that. Yeah. Dang, that is expensive. I would not pour that amount of money into this
That's in
thing.
pesos.
Oh, is it in pesos?
Yeah, that's gonna be US dollars.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the US dollar. Did you have something you want to say? Oh, I thought I saw you raise your hand. Okay. I don't even know if it's in pesos. Is this? It's Bogota. It's in Colombia. All right. So who knows what that is? But anyways, that will be the Down Vision Soldier bar. So let's write that down. That's kind of a big deal. You're missing the main board. Missing main core board A, and I'll say downward vision sensor. Okay. That doesn't sound right. $43 sounds too cheap. I have a feeling they're actually trying to sell it in US dollars. Okay, look at this right here. This is definitely in US dollars now. Yeah, $244. Okay. What else we got broken here? Okay, we're missing the USB cover flap. I'll make note of that. That's a very minor thing. Oh, we are missing the darn camera in the front. It's actually in the box, if you look here. I took it out. So you know what? If someone wants to put it back on, that'll be a good exercise. I took it apart. We can put it back on. Okay, so I'll just note that. The camera has its own problems. So is it too early to take another break? Because I think this is a good breaking point. Okay, yeah, why don't we take a break? I'm gonna just leave this out. We'll work on this. I don't know what's up with this thing. It's stuck. So we will just consider it finished. It's stuck at 94%. We'll just consider it finished. Normally it just says restart and done. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn it off. This thing will still work anyways. Alright. Excellent. Yeah, you can come back in like, what, 20 minutes? Yeah, 5:20. I'll try to be realistic because I like to. So I'm going to be making a quiz that's going to be due on Tuesday. It's going to just be on stuff we talked about today, like the tool bits and stuff. All right. And then maybe a little. No, I'm not going to ask the multimeter. I think you need a little more experience before I'll ask that stuff. Yeah, so it'll just be toolkit stuff. All right, so right now we have 2 drones to work on. So we have the Phantom. We'll make sure you get down to the weeds. And then the Mavic Pro. So I'll go over, I'll just jump between the two and just help out a little bit. Make sure you follow the procedures. Let me pass around some medicine cabinets. So here's the Phantom medicine cabinet. All right, I'm sorry we only have like 2, so like the whole table has to kind of share one. So we can be generous to help each other out. All right, and then here's the other one. It is another. Oh yeah. Honestly, we can. I guess we can subdivide the drone out into multiple pieces that you can work on.
Subcontractor.
Yeah. So that way, like, you have multiple opportunities. So this could be another component. I'll just give this to the Phantom side. So this actually has all the little screws, so we can play with that too. All right. So here's one group can work on that. There's plenty of little screws on this one too. So I guess this table can actually have 2 different things to work on. All right. When it comes to the Mavic Pro, I also have 2 different small parts to work on. We have the gimbal camera attachment, which I might need to help this group a little bit to explain. So whoever's working on this. And then this is the other one that you can go ahead and take off some of the screws. So for example, we have like compass screw in the front and this other power distribution board. See if you can free off some of these components, all right? So, I don't know if this front group wants to work on
What
this.
are you aiming for?
The back group. Oh, guide.
I'm a mechanic, so
All right.
I don't think I need a lot of hands-on experience.
Here is this. Make sure, remember to take
What
photos.
do I do all day?
Uh,
Screw and unscrew things.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'll set a 20-minute timer, and we can check back in.